Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are back again with another Dragonheir video, and in this video we'll be going over the upcoming preparation for Otherworldly Exploration. So if you go here and you will see like Otherworld Exploration is about to begin in about 5 days. So what generally happens is in this sort of event is that we have new sort of quests, new sort of daily quests. We have similar to what we are doing with UTR as well. We have these continental bosses. At least that's how it was last time. And I think it goes on for a few days, and for first 15 days it's similar to the UTR event where we are just fighting bosses. There are some elemental domains to clear where you're just allowed to use a particular element, and at the end of the 15-day fight, based on how far along is your progression, you do get some buffs and you'll be fighting a vortex style boss. In this case it would be a dragon, and you hit that boss 6 times every day and you cannot use the same champion again. So it makes it very difficult because you do have to build out like 30 champions. So when we go to heroes, right, like what you would want particularly to do is to have a 30-man team. Like you should have 30 champions at level 100 or close to it. 90s is fine as well. And the dragon boss is very interesting because your entire server needs to deal a particular amount of damage for the rewards to be distributed. There is a ranking reward on it as well. So each week, I think it was in the beta, that every week you would get a certain amount of reward from it based on how much damage you dealt. Or was it daily? I don't particularly remember. But in the end, like what you really need to be focused on is to not have like gear that much. Like gear will only take you that far, and gear is going to reset as well. The best thing that you can do is to get as much rewards that are going to last season over season. So meaning your Helolite dice, your scrolls, all of these things are going to be carried season over season. So you do need to be prepared as well. Also in this case, it may not be the case for you because this event, Inferno and Twinkle, which is the Drizzard event, is going to be across servers at the same time. So even if your Otherworld Exploration is not starting in 5 days, you may be on a different server, it may be starting a bit early, or it may be starting quite a bit late. But the Drizzard event is going to happen simultaneously across all servers. So that is something to take in mind. I'm not really sure what is going to happen on the event. I mean, I have the same information as you guys, so I'm not sure either what is going to happen with the Drizzard event, but all I know for sure is that it's going to include a lot of PvE activities based on the information that they had, the teasers that they have put out. This is going to be a lot of different events, and once the collaboration starts, there will be one channel unlocked each day, and we don't know what the challenge is, and complete the challenge is going to reward us with this emerald dice. You can also do the summoning for Drizzard. He's supposedly going to be the only hero, and they do say it's an exclusive hero, so I'm not sure if he will have his own artifact as well. So this is something that is very interesting for me as well. Like, why do they say exclusive? It could be a translation error, or it could be meaning that exclusive to the event, but there may be a chance that he may also have his own artifact. And if you guys are thinking like whether Drizzard is going to be worth it, whether he's going to be what affinity he's going to be, from the looks of it, it is going to be a frost hero from my understanding. If you look, there's a blizzard going on, so it's most likely going to be an ice element hero. And we do see Kairosos in the background too, so I'm not sure like if he's going to be the only one on the banner. And this one seems to look very similar to what Grishnar is, or I'm not sure who exactly is this, but it's interesting to me that they are saying something versus the image. If you are to be determining, what is going to go on and from the image, it's very unlikely that he's the only hero, but they do say clearly that, for a chance to summon the event exclusive hero. And once you collect his Hunter Blaze, you can use them to directly summon the collaboration heroes. So it doesn't really, like a lot of people have said, like maybe he's not the only one on the banner. So it could be interesting time to save your healer light dice. I know it's been a long time coming, but this event is going to start in a week. So whatever healer light dice, whatever win marrow you get, just save it for this event. If you are wondering whether to go for Uteor versus Drizzit, go for Drizzit. Uteor is absolutely terrible right now. Maybe they buff him in the future. I'm not really sure like how you're going to summon him later once the event is over. I'm pretty sure because when I go in the Uteor, where's my Uteor? When I click on his inspiration and I click on this, it says summon heroes. So I'm pretty certain that he's going to be added to the general pool. He's not that good of a unit to make him an exclusive, so he might be just be summonable afterwards. So it's not a big loss if you're not summoning for him. Trust me, he's absolute garbage currently in his state. And even if he has certain usability, it's only because of the affinity pairing of Frost. Once the pairing shifts in the next season, he may not be usable at all. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, how this banner is going to be. I have several doubts about what is written here versus what exactly the image tells me. So this is going to be a very, very interesting event for sure. And I hope there's a lot of activities to do. But moving back to Otherworldly Exploration, so what do you really do want to look for when you're building your teams for like the 6 affinities that you will need? It doesn't have to be 6 affinities, it's only hero locked, but as we know, like once a hero is locked, so for example, if Flora is locked, I'm not going to be using the composition here. I mean, you can still make a decent team if you don't have Flora. You could use somebody like Casper, Alfie, Foley. There are a lot of good champions, your damage dealers. There is a lot of buffs that you get during the fight with the dragon, so that's something to take consideration of. It does require a lot of accuracy. I think if I remember correctly, it was around like 320 accuracy requirement for the dragon, but you do get certain amount of buffs for 5 affinity. So that 5 affinity bonus is really, really important. So if you're picking somebody from Frost and Poison, just make sure that all your units are from that affinity to get that bonus. So same goes with Frost and Summons, Fire and Poison, and Lightning and Radiance. So you can mix and match. I think the champions that you would want to use should be high damage dealing champions. So if I go to Fire, if you don't have Flora, use Casper. If you don't have Casper, you don't have any legendaries in this faction, you would have Eric for sure. You could use Eric, you could use Stona, and you could use somebody like, what's his name? You can use Adolphus as support. And yeah, I think there's plenty of good options. Caraman is also amazing. He's a jumper. You don't really care about, like, since it's a Vortex style fight, you don't really care about whether it's a melee unit or whether it's a range unit. It's not going to affect you that much. The boss does AoE stuff. You do want to have somebody who can cleanse, because I remember he was placing some sort of annoying debuffs on you. So that can also affect your team. But the debuffs aren't that big a deal, honestly. The debuffs are okay. You can still deal with them if you don't cleanse it. So, but still use a team with 5 affinity. I think that's the most important aspect of it. And then moving over to Frost, somebody like Usha is going to be amazing for this one. Or if you have Oster, Usha, Trollgar. Havatar is, I have to test her. I'm currently building her out in different things to see how her PvE damage scales. But until then, I'm not really sure. The problem with Frost and Summon is the healing capabilities. So you do want to level up Voresh. And you do want, in the summons, you do want to have somebody like Megan, who's an excellent rare. And Estella, although she's a single target with a lower HP heals, it's still worth to have. For damage dealing options, in summons, you will probably go with Zadok if you don't have any of the legendaries. And you would also look for somebody like, I think the main, Thea would be amazing because of her debuff immunity. Questa, all of these are great choices. Asterion, don't pick. And Zaloth has some sort of a shadow heal, so it's fine. But typically you want to still have your healer as Megan. And in this one, you would probably go with somebody like Usha. You could go with Widmir to apply those Frost or Dakuras. You could also go with Roana or Rava. Rava is an excellent choice if you have the Crown artifact, so he can place the defense down. That whirlwind effect that he does on his ultimate hits a lot of times, so it's definitely worth it. Voracious is worth it. So basically what you really want is not to look so much for a tank unit, because tanks wouldn't like, unless the tank is doing something extraordinary, like you have a tank like Kairosos, for example, where he's doing an attack down, he's providing you with shields and healing capabilities. There's a lot of things that he's providing, but unless and until it's that, like, you really don't need a tank for the final boss fight. It's not the final boss, but the dragon fight. You are better off picking up somebody like Isolde. Is a tank actually, but you know what I mean. Like, if you are getting somebody who is placing an attack down and healing, whether they're support, tank, doesn't really matter. What you need is 3 DPS for always, right, to get that damage up. And then we're going into let's say Radiance. So Radiance, all these legendaries are god tier. Like, none of them are like they don't hit the mark, they don't miss the mark, and everyone has a role. Like, Sagomir is amazing for attack down. That's one of the problem with the Radiance, is that they don't have too many attack down. But you could use probably somebody like Clovis, Catherine. Jitona is very hard hitter as well. Higio, Martina, Garius, exceptional tanks, and a healer. So you could probably go with Garius, Clovis, Martina, Higio, and Jituna, right? So you have your healing going on, you are doing the damage as well. Don't pick Gum. Gum is absolute trash. Moving over to Lightning, you have Iola, who's going to do the attack down. You need Shalter for derivative damage. Shagrol is amazing. Turnus, Nimbus, both are amazing as well. Nathaniel too for his healing. But yeah, you would really want to pick somebody from, like, if you don't pick Catherine here, you could probably use Catherine in the Lightning comp, because you would really need to get a lot of healing going on, and Nathaniel wouldn't have that much healing by himself. Poison, all these legendaries are again amazing except for Talwar. Jatalia and Vecania are mutually exclusive. Actually, Lothair, Jatalia and Vecania are mutually exclusive, meaning that if you're using one, it's better not to have these two. You would want Poisoners instead of another derivative damage dealer. So once you fill that derivative damage slot, you want to pick your Poisoner. So Durango, Twitch, amazing. Ogok is amazing. Korin is amazing. Forbath is amazing. This entire affinity is really, really good for PvE. Like, you won't find like that many amazing champions compared to other ones. Although they are harder to build, that's one caveat of having such a powerful affinity, is that these champions require, like, a Poisoner requires an attack, he requires required accuracy, he requires enlightenment. So there's a lot that they require, but they do have a lot of value too. And Ellie is a notable mention here. Sigrid too, as long as she's not fixed. Ellie is amazing for derivative damage dealing. Sigrid not so much in PvE activity for this particular fight, because the boss doesn't heal, the boss doesn't do anything basically. So you really have to select a lot of different, looking at your roster, you have to think through like what you're going to be using. And if you're missing out on certain champions that are still new to the season, save your Starlight dice, right? Save your pots. You don't need to level up every champion you have. You don't want to clear every content that is given to you. You want to basically try to predict, like, okay, I have, like, I'm gonna get like 100 Helio dice by the 1 month mark, and that's when I will start really progressing, because progressing in arena is very gear intensive, right? But the rewards that you get from this thing aren't noticeably good as compared to PvE, right? PvE is also gear dependent, but it's mostly like what specific champions you have and what you can build out overnight. And sometimes you get lucky from a Starlight dice, you pull a Furbath, it changes your entire gameplay, and you are missing the pause. And stamina being limited as it is, you want to be really careful about where you spend your resources. So once you have like a 1 or 2 teams going, I would say, like, stop. If you're not able to clear certain content, just hold off. You can farm gear, you can farm more goblin, and then really look for progressing once you have enough dices, both gold versus your Starlight dice. And even if you're saving for the Drizzard event, one big disclaimer here, read his skill, wait for the reviews to come in, let some of the content creator get him, test him, and see how he actually behaves, because I'm not entirely sure like how he's going to be overall. There's some contention to whether he's going to be great or whether he's going to be really bad, right? And we don't know what skills he has, whether he's worth it or not. If, for example, he's a derivative damage dealing champion for a Frost, it's a must summon because Frost doesn't really have anybody for PvE that is good. You have Usha, but it's nowhere near comparable to somebody like Ellie for Vortex, right? So you really have to, there's Dokuraz actually, who does derivative damage, but it's on basic attacks and it's terrible. But we really have to go through and see like what exactly the skills of the Drizzt are. Like, is it worth it? At least, does it make sense on paper first, and does he make sense on in play, right? Like take Uteor for example. Uteor was looking really good on paper. There were some questionable things to it, like, you know, whether his passive worked or not. But once I got him, like, it was like very clear to me that this champion basically has no place anywhere. Whether you're F2P to whether you're pay to play, it doesn't make a difference. That champion has absolutely no role. Like, there's very limited use that somebody will be able to use him to his potential. Like, it's not worth it, because a legendary champion first of all takes a lot of books, it takes legendary scrolls, and yeah, it's not worth to build. But that's pretty much all for today. And besides this, I do have one more announcement. I am doing a giveaway for 2 Heliolite dice, 250 Virmara stone, and 1 legendary scroll. I will be selecting 10 people from the comments below. So make sure to like and make sure to comment on the video so you can be picked in the giveaway. But that's all for today, folks. Until then, see you guys next time.